Hi, welcome back to Crafting with Nana. Today's video we will finish Harry Potter's other leg, and that's it. It was already a long video, but not as long as last week, so bear with me. If you are a pattern follower, this will frustrate you because I stopped using her pattern and just made the second leg match the first. So hopefully the instructions will be clear. I didn't speed anything up to help those of you who are struggling with that second leg and making sure that you get your needle in exactly the right stitch. If you're enjoying these videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and let's get started on Harry Potter's second leg. I want to point out that when we're starting the right leg, she says to join in dark gray at the back. First off, I didn't have enough dark gray to even do this. So maybe your kit's different and you had dark gray and you want to do the pants in the dark gray. I am forced to use the lighter yarn because I didn't have even dark gray in my stash that matched. So kind of your personal preference or what's in your kit or maybe what's in your stash at home. So she says we need to leave a length at the end, or at the beginning I should say, that we will come back and tie the legs together at the end of this. So I'm going to tie my paper clip on and I'm going to leave a good amount. And then basically we're going to do the same thing we did with the first. We're going to join our yarn and we're going to stitch around. This time when we come to our 3 stitches in the center, we're going to start building out. So I hope that makes sense as we do it. I'm not going to leave you hanging on this one. I'll go ahead and video this leg as well. And basically we're going to build this out to be the same length as our other leg. And it will be hard at the first couple rounds here as we try to pick up these stitches. I just love this paperclip trick. I can move that around and it puts weight on my yarn and gets it out of my way. Let me know if you're enjoying that as well. All right, we're going to try to pick this up over here in a manner that looks good. Oh my goodness, I'm going to go right in here, I think. If you're giving this away to someone, I hope they appreciate your efforts when you're done, because this is definitely not an easy project. Okay, I think our next row will be much easier. I'm hoping. Move that out of my way. You know what, I am going to take this off for a minute. You might not have had this trouble, but my tail is ending up on the inside of my crochet and it's in my way. So if that happened to you, I'm just going to thread it and take it to the outside. I'm not tying it off or stitching it in or anything. I just need it out of my way. Put that paper clip back on it. And again, we are single crocheting in each stitch around to where this leg will be the same length as our other leg. Just keep going, being very patient with yourself as you work your way around to build this leg out. Kind of tricky to find your stitches sometimes. You can see me struggling with it here. On these last two stitches, I found it easier to pick up the back loop rather than the entire stitch. So if that is a trick you can use, go ahead and try that if you're not able to slip through your stitches very easily, because it gets really tight as we come in between these two legs. So kind of pick up whatever you can, because I think we can fix it in the end. And the most important thing is we have to just keep building the leg out. That was a really hard stitch to get in, so I'm going to come back and try to pick up just the back loop. Just pull this out a little bit and pick up only the back part of that loop and see if that'll help. There we go. I promise you guys, if you have some stitches that are a little looser than others, when the entire project is done, it will not be noticeable. Now you can tell where I picked up those back loops only. On the last one, it's easier for me to catch the whole stitch this time because it made my work looser. Right here, I'm going to pick up the back loop only again because I'm trying to get it loose enough that my stitches build that leg out. But you can see I don't need to do that at all when I get to the outside of the leg. It's just on that inside portion that I feel the need to do that. So kind of let your yarn talk to you and do it the best you can. At this point, honestly, guys, I'm not even going off of her pattern. I just know that this second leg needs to match the first one. And while these legs seem a little far apart at this point, we're going to use that tail of gray to stitch them together. Okay, as I got to the inner part of the leg that time, I did not need to go back loop only. I was able to grab the entire single crochet from the round before. Back around where I joined the yarn, I can tell that my legs are now the same length. So it's time to start that 3 double crochet bobble. And you know, we had trouble before kind of deciding where to start that. So it ended up being about 3 stitches back from the center. So here's our center leg. We're going to come back. I'm going to start my 3 double crochet bobble at, here's my center. I'm going to go 1, 2, I think I'm going to start it right here. So it's actually about maybe 2 or 3 stitches back from the center this time. Again, I'm not even looking at her instructions again. I'm just going to go ahead and start it where I think it needs to go. If it doesn't look even, we'll pull it out and try again. We come in and join the black. So I'm actually about 3 stitches from where I left off the gray. And we're going to come in and join the black right here. So we'll take that first stitch to join. And then into the next stitch, we're going to wrap, push it through, wrap, come through 2, wrap, push it through the same stitch, wrap and come through 2, wrap, push it through the same stitch, come through 2, wrap one more time and come through all 4. We repeat that process into the next stitch. Oops. You can tell there I ended up with 3 on my hook and not 4. Okay, I'm starting over. Okay, so wrap, push it through, wrap, come through 2, leaving 2 on the hook, wrap, push it through, wrap, come through 2, leaving 3 on the hook, wrap, push it through, wrap, come through 2, and you should have 4 on the hook, and then you're going to come through all 4. Repeat in the next stitch. Remember, we're doing this 4 times. In 4 different stitches. Alright, that was my 4th stitch, so I'm going to pull it out and look where I think I'm at. Guys, I think that turned out pretty even. And then we're going to crochet, single crochet on around to where we meet the black again, and then we'll single crochet all the way around one more round. Okay, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pull that gray through. And finish that stitch off, or finish that yarn off, and then I can complete my black. Okay, so we're all the way back around, and now we're going to do another round just of single crochet. We're back around to where the gray and black meet. Pull your loop out. Okay, I think that looks quite even. We're going to go ahead and stuff our leg at this point. So grab your stuffing, open up your stitching a little, and get some stuffing up in there. And again, our goal is to make it look like the other leg. So if you guys are real pattern followers, sorry, because I just couldn't follow her pattern anymore for this leg. It was a little too confusing. Go ahead and stuff that leg as much as you need to make it match the other one. Stuffing out into the toes or the foot, the shoe, I guess on him, it's a shoe. Okay, I'm noticing that I do not have enough rounds on here, so I'm going to do one more single crochet round. Unless when I pull it out it looks a little different, but I don't think it does. Do one more single crochet round. I think it's going to look a little bit better. So I did go ahead and stuff my leg, and then made that decision to make another round in here. Again, our goal is to have it look like the other leg, so I'm just going to go back around. Single crocheting only. In every stitch, and then our next round we'll close it up. All right. I like that a little better because when I close it, now they should be the same length. So if you need to add a little more stuffing, now's the time to do it. And then we're going to close that up and finish off the black, just like we did with the other. The work wants to curl in a little bit, which is fine because we're closing it. It just makes it a little more difficult as you're working it. So you just want to make sure you pull it out. And then our last round, we're going to decrease by simply going into a stitch, wrapping our yarn, pulling through, coming out, going into the next stitch, wrapping our yarn and pulling through all three. Well, pulling through two with that third wrap. Do the same thing in the next two stitches. We're just doing a decrease. And we are back around to where we joined the gray. I'm going to take one last stitch in here. Coming right above my gray connection piece. See right there, and then finish that off. All right. I think his shoes look pretty good. We're going to return to the pattern here in just a moment, but until we do, I want to go ahead and take our smaller piece of black yarn and our gray yarn. Move them out of my way, then grab that smaller piece of black yarn and stitch it in. Hiding the tail and then just closing up any areas that you're not loving, if you have any. And then pull it through to where you can clip it off and you won't see the tail. Okay, we still have two black and two grays. So we have our gray at the end here. It's a little bit longer. I left it a little bit longer. I may need that to stitch. We have our black or our gray that was up here at the beginning, where Lucy Collins said to go ahead and leave a good length of yarn. So now we're going to go ahead and stitch up our legs so that we don't have that gap in the center. And I'm going to use, before I cut any more pieces of yarn, I'm going to use this piece that's at the top where we started. And I'm just going to come across and stitch the legs a little bit together. They don't have to go down very far. Again, she's not precise in how far to do that, so I'm guessing personal preference. Now at this point, because we went ahead and left the tails at the end of our black, we could open up and stuff our legs or take stuffing out if we feel something is not quite right and they don't look quite even. But I'm going to go ahead and look at her picture. She actually stitched down to where she had about 3 rows of gray left. And as you can see, I probably have another stitch or 2 to put in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Right now I think he's got a little bit too big of a gap. But again, personal preference. If you like that larger gap, go ahead and leave it. I'm going to close it up just a little bit more. Okay, one last stitch for me, and I'm going to start tying this off. I'm just going to tie it down tight, pull my yarn tight, make sure that my stitches will not come out, and then tie it off just like I would with thread, weaving it back in, a couple of stitches, and then to the inside as far in as I want to go. Pull my needle out and clip that yarn so you don't see the end. Now at this point again, you could go ahead and stuff more in your legs or body because we did leave this gap down here. But I'm going to finish mine off. I'm going to take my black yarn and stitch the ends of each foot closed and hide my last tail of gray yarn because we will be ready to move on to the arms. As I'm stitching, I'm trying to also just kind of make the bottom of his feet a little bit flatter, so my stitches are coming in nice and tight. And then I'll finish that off and cut the end. Then we have Harry Potter, body, legs, feet, and we'll start on the arms.